Let's go.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm here tonight with George for your fans forum. But fans forum with a little bit of difference. I know last night or yesterday was transfer deadline day. I do want to do a bit of a show assessing the transfers we've made in and out of the club, assessing the transfer window, and then there's a few people in the comments talking about what we maybe prioritize through the season now with regards to what's happened over the last few weeks. So a few bits to cover. Obviously, your questions and comments as well, all through it. We know it's fans forum night, so any questions you want to ask us about Villa on and off the pitch, and we'll discuss it, please do. While we're here, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well if you're watching on X. We are about 20 away from 6,700. So we're getting closer and close to 7,000 subscribers, which is absolutely mad. And the growth on the channel over the last month or so has been absolutely incredible. So please keep supporting us and like and subscribe and all that jazz. George, great to see you, mate. And just as we're getting ready for the show, haircut, looking very smart, mate.
You're right, Rich. You're right, everyone. Yes, mate. Yeah, had the old ears lowered. It was getting a bit out of hand. I was looking a bit dishevelled and a bit trampy, so I thought I better get down the barbers, and he's done a job on me.
Yes. You were like,
I
where's
walked
all
out.
my hair?
I look 2 weeks younger.
You do, mate. You do. You look hard now as well. Hard man, George.
Thanks, mate.
So yeah, let's get straight into it. With regards to transfer window, let's go right back to the beginning and let's talk. We knew we'd have restrictions. We knew we would have to sort of play it really, I guess, cagily, but also we made a change with Monchi going out, Alabi coming in. As a general, no, actually, I'll ask that later. What were you anticipating coming into the transfer window, knowing that some of the restrictions were going to be around?
Well, everything's changed, doesn't it? As soon as we've got the three big injuries in midfield, which no one was anticipating, that's kind of moved the goalpost, doesn't it? I think going into it before, I don't think there was a lot of scope, but I think he might have had his eye. He might have had his eye on a couple of just, a bit more expensive additions. To a bit like last year. I'm not saying to the level of Rashford and Asensio, but he might have wanted to just boost us a little bit. Basically, just trying to replenish what's been lost through injury. So we're kind of like we've got more numbers, but we're not. I wouldn't say we're any better off quality wise, are we? But we've done. I think I did say it last week. We've probably done as good a business as we could have. Really, it's a notoriously tough time to sign players, and no one really wants to get rid of their best players, as well as being financially hamstrung like we are. I was quite accurate actually from what I said last week, wasn't I? I said there would be no more in, and I tipped Jimo Aloha to be out on loan. So I'm kind of like becoming the face of the transfer window just by chance.
You are, George. Yeah,
but
sounding more like Martin day by day.
Yeah.
But in terms of areas that we needed to improve, I know we've had injuries that have forced Unai's hand a little bit, but do you think that he would have wanted to improve in centre forward area, midfield area, or do you think he'd have been thinking about other areas to improve?
Well, I think the central midfield was fine. It is our strongest suit, really, isn't it? But that's just some real bad luck to get McGinn, Kamara, and Tielemans all injured at the same time, all for a decent amount of time as well. So obviously Douglas Luiz then comes into play, which is something I don't think we'd have probably been considering doing. But needs must, and he's in the door. And pleased to see him myself. I'm a big fan, and I thought he did very well on Sunday. I reckon he was probably looking at another striker, wasn't he? But then again, all we've done really is just 1 for 1, haven't we? Marlon's gone out the door, who we all quite liked. and he's kind of just gone more for a like replacement for Watkins or alternative to Watkins in Tammy. And yeah, but I don't know what else. What else we're looking for? I think the defense is pretty sound. Probably a little bit short of fullback, but the centre backs is absolutely fine. You've got two good keepers, so I think really it would have been attacking areas we were looking at. Obviously we've signed the young Allison and Maju, but I'm not
Yeah,
expecting to see much of them at the minute. But
those were
yeah,
the
it's
two.
not so bad, Rich.
Yeah, those were the two I was going to focus on first. Alisson came in and Majo came in for for young players, pretty big fees. Majo 10 million euros. I know the structure of these deals would be put into play. We wouldn't be paying that up front, but I think it was 10 to 12 million euros, and I think kind of similar for Alisson. So decent fees. All accounts. I spoke with Charlie, Academy of AFC, yesterday, and he sort of mentioned about Majo in particular, that he maybe sees him playing one or two games for the under-21s, but he's signed for the first team. Alisson's definitely signed for the first team. How much do you believe that, in a sense? And how much do you think? It's just, for me, like with Emery, he never gives too much away in his press conference, but I don't know how much of it is like cope, if you know what I mean. Like saying that Alisson's a first team player, saying that he's a brilliant prospect. How much is that kind of just, appeasing, saying stuff to appease it, to convince himself almost, and appease the fans? Or is it legitimately that these players will be playing in the first team?
Yeah, no, I think it's what you said there, Rich. He's not really got a track record for doing it, has he? I mean,
No.
other than he gave Duran a little run when he first come, but it took him a while to sort of get more minutes. Other than that, really, what we signed Morgan Rogers as a young player, but Unai likes seasoned, ready now, straight out of the packet players, doesn't he? As he said in his book, he's here to win now, and he hasn't really got time to focus on anything else. Yeah, injuries aside, I would be surprised to see either of them young boys get much of a game. I mean, now we're through the groups in the the league phase of the Europa League, so we're now at the business end of that, and I'd imagine I don't think you'll see him play, but stranger things have happened, mate. But yeah, I think you'll probably be looking at next year, probably alone before they even get anywhere nearer looking at Villa. But we'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I'm just not convinced that they're gonna be anywhere near, and that's
Um,
that's the point. I mean, Majo, maybe he takes a bit of time to get up to speed, but there wouldn't be any reason to not put him on the bench on Sunday. We didn't have a striker, so what's the issue with putting him on the bench? That to me, I don't understand.
Yeah, I've no idea, but Emery likes to sort of, these players have to be in the door a while, don't they, to learn how we play. They're probably in all the meetings and getting some like heavy duty coaching at the minute, and and trying to settle into the place. So it's not a real shock to me. I mean, the fees that are paid, it sounds like a lot of money, but in this day and
It's
age,
not much.
te-
No, no,
10
no,
million's not going to get you a Premier League ready
no.
player, is it? So yeah, we'll wait and see on that. But I think it'd be very much a work in
Well,
progress, and it
21
might
million
be a case,
euros got
Rich.
us. 21 million euros got us Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. But
Yeah,
these young
but
boys, I mean,
I do definitely take your point. I definitely take your
and we've
point.
got a habit of flipping these players before you even see them
Mm,
anyway. So I
mhm,
wouldn't be getting too attached just yet.
mm. Yeah, and then we go to like the I guess the two main players that we've signed with regards to the outgoings as well. You mentioned Tammy coming in and Marlon going out. What do you make of that in terms of choice? Would it be? I don't think it's a secret to say that Emery would have rather have had both of them, but didn't. Again, are we convinced that it was because Marlon wanted more minutes in a centre forward position, or is it more a case of we needed to balance the books a little bit, bring a player in that Unai wanted in Tammy, but had to get rid of someone, and it had to be Marlon essentially because he was a player who was potentially prepared to go and someone wanted him?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've proven that we're willing to sell if clubs come in. But clubs haven't come in for a lot of our players, have they? But when they did seem to have, this business has been done, haven't they? Gesson's been there 5 minutes, out the door. Marlon's been there a year, out the door. When opportunity sort of arises, we've got to work out what's best for the club, or Unai has to. I'm sure he'd rather not have to worry about it, but it is, isn't it? It's like a one in, one out kind of thing, constantly looking at the wages and stuff. And I think he liked Marlon. I think well, we all like Marlon. He was a good alternative, wasn't he? A good plan B for me. And I thought he was a good little player, but I think Emery was looking for someone more. I don't think Abraham is just like Watkins, but similar physical profile, isn't he? Big, more of a what do you call a traditional centre forward as such, rather than like a
he doesn't have the movement in terms of like working the centre backs that Watkins has, but
we missed that the other day, Rich, didn't we?
Yeah,
on Sunday.
But he's more of a target man in the box, which was a bit frustrating really, because we didn't hardly put it in the box, which was, I didn't understand that, because you could see Tammy getting angry about that. What do you make of Tammy Abraham and how potentially successful he's going to be at Aston Villa?
I think he'll do all right. I mean, he did okay. Did okay Sunday. It was just, I know we were saying on our group chat, and sort of Samuel's a bit of a blind spot, doesn't he? He doesn't sort of, when we talk about strikers, he thinks it's all about finishing. But we straight away we saw as soon as Watkins wasn't there was no flexibility in that forward area as well. It was so easy for Brentford to defend against us. I think Tammy, if anything, he could be accused of being a little bit lazy up there. He's kind of just standing around waiting for it to come to him, rather than sort of trying to make some space, create a bit of havoc, so we can sort of, there's other players there that can put the ball in the net. And I think we missed that. But if you've got 6'5" striker up there, it's quite obvious to me you need to get the ball into the box, crosses. He's going to be handy in the air, isn't he? And just got to be a bit more, move the ball a bit faster. It was all a bit pedestrian Sunday. That low block against 10 men is probably like the ultimate Villa kryptonite, isn't it? So we just dillied and dallied too much, kept trying to do the same moves, same attacks, and it was easy for Brentford, and they just mopped up all afternoon. But I think, going back to Tammy, he scored goals everywhere he's been, isn't he? You make the chances, he's going to score some. So I'm not overly concerned, up front. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I'll come back to it in a second. Like I say, I do like Tammy Abraham, and I think he will settle in. Obviously, he's going to settle in quite quickly. He knows the club. He knows what he's good at. We've got to figure out what he's good at and do and take advantage of that. And I do think he could probably link up with Watkins up front together as well. Maybe a little bit more so than maybe Marlon and Watkins could. But yeah, particularly in that game on Sunday, there's probably a couple of glaring parts of that game that we didn't get the ball into the box quick enough, and we did miss the kind of movement of Watkins to drag the centre backs apart. But that being said, they defended so deep. For me, though, it was more about, we had Konsa and Torres outside the box receiving the ball the most. I would have taken one of those defenders off and put a more, you could put anyone on, but just drop one of the more creative players into that defensive line to receive the ball just on the edge of the Brentford box, to be a bit more creative with passes. I don't understand why it's the centre backs that receive the ball the most in those attacking areas, and all they're going to do is pass it to the full backs. He could have rotated those positions more. He could have took Konsa off and put Rodgers in that position, and then had, right, you receive the ball here, or Buendia in that position, you receive the ball here. Create something for us, pick the pass that someone else might not see. And then the other point, we're going to put the ball in the box, put Mings up top with Tammy or something, and just create a bit of havoc, because that's the only way we were going to score, was off a knockdown, a poor clearance, a defender being caught out of position. That was the only way we were going to score in that situation, because they were set. They had 3 centre-backs, 5 at the back, no messing about. And we just didn't do it. And the point that you made about Abraham is he's going to stay in that area in the box. You've got to either feed him and get knocked down, or put someone else in there, and then he will pounce on the mistake like he did for the goal that wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
funny when he took was it Bogard he took off and he kind of
yeah,
moved Buendia back a bit further, like into central midfield, and I'm not sure that didn't really sort of pay dividends. I don't think Buendia had a very good day at all, to be fair. Yeah, and we kind of just sort of huffed and puffed, didn't we? I mean, we had all the ball and all that, but as I often say, the ball isn't always Villa's friend. I find the more possession we have, the more games we seem to lose. I prefer it when a team sort of comes at us a little bit and has a few chances, and it's sort of end to end, and we tend to thrive in games like that. But yeah, when
mm,
it's all just pass, 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 we do seem to find it hard getting through these sides who sort of come for a point.
yeah, yeah. And then the next sort of signing, Douglas Luiz. You've touched on it. I thought he was good on Sunday. I thought he slotted in really well. It was like normal Douglas Luiz. People like that type of midfielder. I prefer the Tielemans type of midfielder for the way Unai plays. But Luiz didn't do anything wrong at all. I thought he was sharp, getting into tackles. I just think for that type of game, we needed someone to move the ball a little bit quicker, and Luiz doesn't do that. He controls games. He dictates the play, which is great. But I felt like we didn't need that at that time. But for Luiz, it was fine, and I think he will be excellent for us.
Yeah, I mean, we needed someone to sort of pick the lock, didn't we? Which, like you say, is Tielemans' big strength. Louise, I always just say this when it was Kamara and Louise, they're a great midfield duo when you're like 2-0 up at home, 1-0 up at home, slow things down, recycle the ball, keep it nice and tidy. Just play the simple balls well. But as you say, all that takes a little bit of time, as well as our sort of slow, deliberate build up anyway. It really doesn't suit a team when you're 1-0 down against 10 men. And I always find that we're sort of wasting our own time a little bit trying to
Mm.
create the perfect move to score the perfect goal, and a lot of the time it doesn't unfold. I mean, it was a bit similar against Everton a couple of weeks ago. We had again mountains of possession there, but you never really fancied us to sort of get the
I
goal, do
don't
you? And
recall the keeper making
no,
a brilliant save or anything. I don't recall Kelleher making a brilliant save. He made a couple of like ones where it went in, we were on target and went into his hands, or he parried it, but we didn't get any like gilt edged chances, did we?
not really, mate. No, no. Brentford come there, they got their goal with their one attack in the whole game, wasn't it? I couldn't believe it. I was at the game and I'd just gone down at half time to the loo, and I'd just seen the red card, and I thought, should naively thought, happy days, we should go on and win this, sort of not thinking about our previous with playing against 10 men. And literally, some fella come down straight away next to me. It was like 1-0 Brentford. I was absolutely stunned. I thought he was winding me up because I couldn't see a Brentford goal coming from anywhere. But obviously, seeing it back now, it was a well taken finish. But as soon as they got that goal, it was just sharp job, wasn't it? And yeah, just try and stop us from scoring, which they managed to do quite well second half.
Mm. And then the sort of final one, and in terms of like signings for the first team, is more of a re-signing. Leon Bailey back in and Evan Gesson out. I guess just first of all, in terms of opinions on the window and all that, what do you make of that deal just in isolation? Bailey coming back from Roma, Gesson going to Crystal Palace.
Well, I think one leads into the other. Bailey's come back for two reasons. Firstly, the John McGinn injury, so left us short on the right hand side, and secondly, Gesson just wasn't cutting it, was he? That should have been his space to take, but he hasn't shown anything in a Villa shirt, really, has he? And I
No.
think Emery just, when there was a bit of interest, and maybe he just, I do wonder whether the Bailey thing, the wheels were in motion before the Gessan interest, or whether they realised that they could get rid of Gessan,
Yeah, I think
then get Bailey
Unai
back. I'm not
again.
sure.
Yeah, he teased it, didn't he? He talked about Bailey and mentioned something about him staying at Roma, but I do
Yeah.
think there's a bit of double speak there where you don't. There's no need to mention it if there's nothing happening with it. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't know because they made a big thing about getting his wage off the books for the season, didn't they? And I think it's might be a slightly desperation measure to obviously have to put that wage now back on us for the season. But we know Leon Bailey is best. He's a good, effective player for us. He's inconsistent. He's frustrating to watch. He'll drive you mad. But he has his moments as well where he can make things happen. He can score you a goal. He'll set you up a goal. He's been a good player. And I just think at the minute, with like 3-4 months left of the season, Unai's just trying to get us as strong as possible, get as many numbers in the door, whether they've been there before, whether they've left, whether they've come back from loan. With the way the injuries are going at the minute, I think it was just another safe option that we could do, wasn't it? It's another player in the door.
I mean, in my opinion, Bailey is streets ahead of Evan Gesand, like absolutely streets ahead in terms of like attacking threat, knowing the club, knowing what we do. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have got rid of him in the first place if you would have asked me. I am.
He does he does that work. Like Gesand, they were saying the only thing really he was any good at was his defensive work on the right.
Yeah.
But I thought Leon Bailey was always quite underrated with that. I think he.
Yeah, I just think sometimes sometimes his concentration lapsed a little bit. But I mean, for me, I don't want my winger to be doing that anyway. Like,
it's an Unai thing, though, isn't it?
You got to get back over that side. You've got to get back at times, but I want him attacking. I'm not interested in playing at right back. I want him attacking. So obviously, people look at the defensive side of things if the attacking thing isn't happening. If Bailey was setting up goals or if Gesson was setting up goals, no one would care about what he was doing in defence. But you kind of look at it, it's not the fans. The outcomes aren't happening. Of course, Unai wants his players to work back up and back, but I'm sure he wants Bailey doing his job in attack as well as helping out at the back. But Matty Cash has been excellent, really, in terms of coping with the 1v1 side of things. And, when Kamara's in the side, he drops into that right back position and covers. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot's made of that. And again, a lot of it is coping. A lot of it is like, trying to look for any positive that they can, which is strange because people don't do that with certain other players. Work rate gets thrown out the window with certain other players who we won't mention, but work rate is mentioned for Evan Gesand as a thing to sort of give him heap praise on him, which
I think it's just because it's the only thing we could see in him, mate. I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I couldn't put anything out. There was no quality really, was there? All I noticed was he used to graft and he'd get back and make a tackle. So you try and get behind something, didn't you? But there weren't really much else to get behind.
I will come to comments. I'm starring as many as I can throughout. So I will come to comments as well. So just keep them coming through. The 2 points I want to make, right? And a lot of youngsters have gone out on loan as well, which is another little conversation to have as to whether it's good for them or whether whether any of them could be utilised. My first point is are these actual signings that are going to be really effective for the club, or are we in danger of getting a little bit carried away with the nostalgia of Bailey coming back, Douglas Luiz coming back, Tammy Abraham coming back?
Who knows, mate? I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you that, but it's the same as any of the clubs that have.
But are they truthfully really going to improve us? That's I guess the point. I know we can't say for definitive, but truly, before the window, would you have been saying, let's get Leon Bailey back in, let's get Douglas Luiz in, let's get Tammy Abraham in? Or is it just...
I wouldn't have been adverse to getting Luiz back. As I've said, I've always been a fan of his, and I'm sort of reasonably sad to see him go. I don't think it's someone we would have gone for without the injuries. But yeah, mate, I don't think any. If you've got Leon Bailey, you Leon Bailey back at his best, Luiz back at his best. That's two great signings. Tammy Abraham, if you can get a like for Watkins, a similar sort of output to Watkins, that's three good players, mate. And you would say we've had a great window, but everything's a risk, as I said. City have just got Semenyo and Gahey. Looked at Semenyo started well, but only takes an injury to one of them two, and you can lose your players. I mean, look at Liverpool, done 100 million on Isak, and he's sat most of the season out. Things just happen. It's not really a question you can answer, mate. We've got them now, and we've just got to hope that they can hit the ground running this time round and sort of see us through to the end of the season.
Yeah, Rich, I've started plenty of your comments. Don't worry, mate. Don't worry. And then I guess the second point, before I do get into the comments, people, would be, what do you make of Unai's transfer dealings?
Yeah, I've sort of said a lot of this on our group chat. We've moaned a lot, haven't we? Yeah, not overly impressed, to be honest. If he's got an Achilles heel, as great a manager he is, and he's the best thing that's ever happened to us. But yeah, the signings in general, his best work has been with the players that he inherited. Really, other than what Rodgers and Tielemans, he's probably two smash hits. Most of the players, they've come in and quite a few of them have not done nothing, have they? They've come in and they've gone, or they've come in and been ignored. So we don't know the ins and outs of whether he's actually picking the players. We know he's got final say on it because he's got final say on everything. But I think he's so busy and he's so hands on and so sort of like headstrong. I think maybe he should have a bit better advice behind the transfers and maybe tell him to have a little think and have a little watch because he loves these number 10s, doesn't he? He spends a lot of transfer window sort of simping over players that, in my eyes, sort of well past their best and stuff. Players he's probably wanted over the years and not been able to attract. And now he's in the Premier League riding high. He's probably, the Paquetars of this world and the Asensios who we got last year. But yeah, I'm not overly impressed, mate, Rich. What do you think?
I tend to agree with you. I think there's probably 2 or 3 areas with it. Like we look at it, and again, it takes me to a comment in a bit what Rich made earlier, or a question. You still look at the team, and look, these players have been brilliant, right? And what Unai's got out of them is phenomenal. Emi Martinez, Matty Cash, Ezri Konsa, Luca Dean, up until sort of Matson's sort of tended to usurp him now. Then you've got Douglas Luiz back. You've got John McGinn, who would play. You've got Boubacar Kamara, who would play. You've got Ollie Watkins, who would play. You've got Leon Bailey, who's had to come back because the signings that he's made in those positions haven't done enough. Like Marlon was tried out on the right. Gesson was tried out, not good enough. Then you're looking at, yes, Asensio was excellent for half a season. Rashford was very good, but Sancho was flattered to deceive. Morgan Rogers has been a great signing. Onana, we love him, right? But he just doesn't play enough. Like, what was the situation with him on Saturday? Why couldn't he play on Saturday? Like, if you're fit enough for the bench, play. Like,
literally the first time we needed him on it after the injuries, and he's not there.
Yeah. Pau Torres has been good, I will say. Maatsen is starting to come good, but even last season, not 100%. Elliott is a really strange situation with him. So then all these players that come in and don't, Garcia, Nedeljkovic, Berenachea, you name it. This Ozcan guy, like we signed all these players who were so highly rated as young players. Ealing Jr., so highly rated as young players across Europe, and they don't even. He takes one look at them and is like, nah, not for me. Like I don't get it.
It's the kid. It's like a kid in a sweet shop, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's, if he is picking them, you can't blame the club for sort of pulling back on transfers and saying, look, we're in financial trouble, Unai. If you want a player, you need to know you want him. You can't just sort of like get him in and then decide after 3 weeks he's not for you. We've been stuck with Harvey Elliott all season now. I'm actually glad he's got a couple of games, to be fair, because I think he's not been treated well, has he? But yeah, you've got to get your recruitment right. I mean, sort of, we're going back. The best recruitment really was when like Dean Smith was in charge, and a lot of the signings from the Championship. We've done some great work looking at the Championship, and I wonder why we've kind of gone away from that so much.
I think Middlesbrough have got 2 players who I would definitely look at, like Hayden Hackney and Morgan Whittaker. 100%, I'd be looking at them. 100%.
Someone was just trying to get at Hackney, weren't they? I think Forest just had a couple of bids, but Middlesbrough are obviously looking at coming up, aren't they? So they didn't want to get rid.
Yeah. So, and I do take some people's points about obviously got to get used to Unai's system and stuff, but that's all well and good, right? That's all well and good, but you've got to call it as you see it. And if you're saying that, if we're saying that players get used to the system, and we know that, and it's very difficult to get into that circle, we're just going to end up in the same situation because players are just going to keep coming, not get used to his system, or maybe out of every 6 signings that he makes, one of them does it okay, and then he gets rid of the other 5. We can't keep continuing like that because John McGinn's not getting any younger.
No, exactly.
Cancer's not getting any younger. Like, what are we doing?
I know where you end up there. You go full circle to where we were 10 years ago, because you end up with an aging squad, all on decent money. The replacements that are supposed to have come in and not maybe usurp them, but you keep upgrading your quality, don't you? Normally younger and younger, but at the minute, all we're obsessed with 28, 29-year-olds. In 2 years, they're 30, 31-year-olds. And if nothing's coming up behind them, challenging them, then that's when Unai realises he's done as much as he can and he's off into the sunset. And then you're left with a load of 30, 31-year-olds that have got the ump because their manager's gone. And, and it can be a long sort of descent downwards, and we don't want that to happen to Villa.
No.
So, I think you've got to be careful about your squad and look forward rather than just, obviously we all want to win now. We're desperate to win a trophy. We're desperate to get in the Champions League, but you can't take the eye off what's in front of you as well as what's happening now.
Yeah, recruitment is so key, and like I say, we have made some really good signings. I just don't want to get carried away with the nostalgia of, and as well as Douglas Luiz and Tammy played on Sunday. Yes, they were our better players of the two. I thought Tammy disappeared a bit in the second half, I would say,
same.
But they were always going to play well in the first game, and they'll probably play well in the second game. It's 3, 4, 5, 6 game where the adrenaline's gone, the novelty's worn off, feet are under the table. That's when you see whether they are good signings or not. That's really where you see whether they're good signings or not. And yeah, we'll wait and see. Let me get into some of the comments because Rich did put a few in there. So Wilson said, wonder if we will still have to do a big sale in the summer, even if we get Champions League. If we did, who do you think it would, could, or should be?
Well, with the first bit of that question, we don't really know, do we? I mean, the Champions League again will be a massive for the finances and stuff, but the way we are at the minute with the 1 in, 1 out, it would suggest that if we was to get a massive bid for anyone, I think no one's off the limits. I think it'll be Rodgers, and I think no one wants to see that, but he's the obvious one. He's the one where all the interest is going to be. He's the one probably that's got his eyes on bigger things than Villa. I don't know that for sure, but that's just a guess. He's playing for England now, and he's trying to hold off Bellingham in the starting spot. He's probably our biggest profile, and I would say it was all set up for him to probably go either this summer or next year. And then that's where, if you can get another 100+ million, but then you've got to spend it right to replenish the squad, haven't you?
Martinez, Rich says, will be gone for sure. Martinez will be gone. So that one, you're probably looking at what, 35, 40 million. So maybe that could be.
I reckon more 20, 30, Rich. I think at his age now.
Fair. And then Rich says the squad needs a major rebuild. So something what you said, given the age of key players, regardless of whether we get Champions League, we won't have the money to do it. So I do think we'll have to make a sale, whether even if we do get Champions League, because the revenue that you get is kind of the season after, if you like.
Yeah. That's right.
And he says the biggest issue we've had is the failure to sell Watkins. Obviously, Rich.
Well, we knew we had our chance, Rich, didn't we? We
yes.
said this. Sorry, jump in there. We said this. When was it in the summer? All the Arsenal interest, wasn't it?
It was the summer, and I think it might have been last January.
Yeah, and we all said there and then, didn't we? If they're good, it was either now or never with Watkins. We're either selling him now when he's still probably worth 40 to 50 million, or if you don't sell him like we didn't, you're probably keeping him now until he's done. And we've decided to go down that route. So that is what it is. But yeah, sometimes we said this, Rich, haven't we? You've got to when someone's hot, sometimes you've just got to just take the money and to just keep everything ticking.
Yeah. Ange says Martinez and Watkins, surely. Who's going to buy Watkins, though, says Rich.
That's the thing. It's probably gone now, isn't it?
Yeah, 18 months back, we'd have got big bucks for Watkins, says Duncan. Could have sold him for 60. Now we aren't getting 25.
Yeah, for that money you keep him,
like Sunderland. Yeah, exactly. You might as well keep him. But that makes it even more important because Tammy signed a 4.5-year deal. Makes it even more important to get the next generation through, or a younger player coming through. Stephen says, feels like we're making a sideward step at best with the signings. I don't necessarily agree it's a backward step. I do think it's a sideways step. And I guess it's, as we've indicated, there's been maneuverings done. Yes, needs must. There's been maneuverings done, and time will tell whether the Tammy type striker is better than a Marlon type forward. The Bailey type winger is better than the McGinn or Gesson type midfield, wide right midfielder. So that's I guess what time will tell. I do also think that, you know, if we can hang in there this month with the fixtures, McGinn will be back soon. McGinn will be back in do you know what I mean? Like 4 or 5 weeks, McGinn will be back. And then it'll only be a couple of weeks after that Tielemans will be back if everything goes well. So I do think there is an element of, look, we've got a week off now. Onana should be back fit. Barkley will be another week into training. Then you're only 3 or 4 weeks away from McGinn coming back. You know, Watkins will be back this weekend. So the squad will look a lot healthier in the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, of course it will. I mean, we're all feeling sorry for ourselves at the moment because these injuries have come at a real sort of nightmare time for us. We've been flying high in the league, and no one needs to lose arguably their 3 best midfielders all at the same time, do they? And we've just the fixtures, like you say, they don't look too bad on paper. But my worry is we've just played 2 teams at home which we would, not saying we'd expect to beat, but yeah, we probably would, wouldn't we? I'll take that back. We probably would expect to beat, and we've managed to lose them both. Whereas, like you always say, when we're expected to win, we seem to find it harder than when we're an underdog in a game. So, and we've got a few of these games coming up now, haven't we? Like we've got Brighton and Bournemouth coming, Leeds. Mm-hmm. I think there's a trip to Forest coming up soon. You know, so they look all right on paper, them games, but I'd say we've got to probably win 1 in 2, haven't we? While the midfielders are out.
Yeah,
I think the results are going to drop off, but
yeah, these 2 games are big now. These next 2 games are big in terms of just getting
more
the result.
10-game winning runs coming this season. We've just got to.
Well, you say that. Duncan said we'll have another 7 to 9 game winning streak this season.
No, I don't think so.
I think we will. I think we will. Yeah.
I can't see how we'd be out of control of midfield now, and that's what Unai wants to do.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like middle of March, McGinn and Tielemans will be back, right? And that's 10 games left of the season. We won 9 out of 11 back end of last season. I just think if we can stick in it in this month, then by the time March comes around, we should have, we'll probably have Onana injured by then, but we should have Tielemans, McGinn, Louise back, in. And that's a pretty decent midfield.
Well, I mean, I'm sounding a bit negative here, but every time we get an injury, we're told a certain time length, and it's always longer, isn't it?
It's longer.
It'd be nice to see it go the other way, wouldn't it? And
I think McGinn will be 4 weeks,
and someone's back.
Yeah,
I hope so, Rich.
Yeah. I really do. Pop gets a treat. Says totally agree about the age of the squad. We could do with getting some young talent. On the plus side, the academy guys have been showing early promise. Well, yeah, a lot of them have gone out on loan now. Which is one of those things, which you can debate whether that's good. I was chatting to Charlie about this. Be interested to know your thoughts. Is it better for a younger player like a Jimo Aloba or a Ben Broggio to go out on loan, albeit say Jimo Aloba's going to a club at West Bromwich Albion in real trouble of getting relegated? Is it better for him to go there and get game time? Or is it better for a younger player to be training with the first team, be in and around the squads, getting a few minutes here or there? Which one would you suggest is better?
Very hard to say, mate, isn't it? I mean, from Jim Oloba's point of view, you know, I know it's only 1 game, but he looked at home, didn't he, last week against Salzburg? He come on and he wasn't overawed by that at all. You know, come straight on and nearly scored a worldie, which was well saved. Then got himself in the right place on the end of his Caden Young's assist, scored a great goal. And the thing is, talent-wise, regardless, he looked like he could handle the occasion, and that's half the battle, I think, when you're a young player. So if I was him, I might have been tempted to stick around. But some of the others, that are literally not getting a kick, like Broggio. I mean, you see him go out to like Falkirk. I mean, without sweeping statements, that tells me that you'll never see him play for Villa if you're going out to Falkirk. Any player worth their salt now on the loan needs to be getting.
You're in the top 6 in the Scottish Premiership. If
Yeah,
he plays against Celtic, Hibs, Rangers, Hearts, I think that's a bigger move than Caden Young going to Reading in League One.
I just find when they get put out in Scotland, they just go completely off the radar, don't they? I don't know. I'd be surprised, mate. But I'm just going on what's happened in the past. Not many players have come through at Villa, really, have they?
No.
I mean, but did Bogard ever have a loan before he started playing?
Yeah. He went to Bristol Rovers.
Oh, yeah, of course he did. Yeah. So the pathway's there, like for the odd couple of them, isn't there? But generally, we don't really. Not many players seem to come through now.
Yeah, I mean, it's for their own career as well. If they do well, then they get a move and they make money for the club. So I agree to an extent that getting game time. Lots of people saying it's game time. But a lot of the time, it depends on the environment that you're going into. The Aloba one's a strange one. If he goes to West Brom and they get relegated to League One, then to me, he would have been better off staying at Villa.
Yeah, that's one point I'm making.
If you're in a club and then the manager gets sacked or something happens and then you're not fancied and you're sitting on the bench all the time, again, you're better off being at the club. So while in a lot of senses, yes, it's great for these young players to play against men in games that matter, not in under 21s. But I remember Pep saying as well, and I'm always an advocate for young players going out on loan, absolutely. But I remember Pep saying, like, surely it's better for these guys to be training with top professionals like Premier League players. You know, when they were talking about sending Phil Foden and all that on loan.
Yeah, I remember.
No, I want him to track. Why would I send him on loan when he's training against Vincent Kompany and all that? So, like, there's an argument on both sides, isn't there, of the coin?
Yeah, and Villa have not really got we've not really got a great track record with these loans. I mean, we like to interfere with them, don't we? I mean, look at Louis Barry. He's now back at Stockport, where he was on loan 2.5 years ago or whatever. He was absolutely smashing it. But then we get too excited because he's doing well, pull him out of Stockport. Then they moved him into the Championship. Then he struggled, couldn't get a look in, I think, at Ipswich. They had a change of manager and he's left there rotting, wasn't he?
He was Hull and then Sheffield United.
Did he? I think he went to Ipswich as well, Rich. We'll have to have a little Google of that.
Hull and then not. Sheffield United, yeah.
Okay, wherever it was.
Sheffield United under that Ruben Sellers, because Ruben Sellers had him at Hull and he did quite well before he got injured, and then Ruben Sellers went to Sheffield United, took him there, and then obviously he had a terrible time. That Sellers got sacked, and Chris Wilder, he ain't gonna fancy Louis Barry. No chance.
But you just think if he'd have just stayed there with Stockport when they were going well, got promoted up.
We could have got 5-6 million for him or something like that because he was banging in the goals for fun.
And now he's just on the treatment table, probably getting no closer to cracking it, is he, anywhere?
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is there, Rich.
It's a difficult one. I mean, Steven said there, if he scores loads of goals and keeps West Brom up, he's a hero. Absolutely. And that's what he wants. That's the risk that you take. It's just like, I don't know. I think it would have been nice to keep a couple of them around the first team squad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I really do. Let's get into a couple more questions.
He did go out to Ipswich. I knew I was right.
How long ago?
21-22.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. I was talking about last season.
Oh, okay, mate. No worries. Yeah, just looking at the amount of loans he's had. Literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He went to Salford City as well, didn't he?
Salford, yeah. 7 different clubs he's been to.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got no closer to sort of getting there, has he? I think he's going to be one of them that misses the boat completely.
Yeah. Rich asks, when was the last time we signed permanently a player who has made an impact to our first team?
It's a good question, isn't it? It'll be Rodgers, right?
Matson?
Well, but yeah, it's taken him probably a year and a half. But yeah, he's now playing quite regular, isn't he?
Who did we sign in the summer?
Last summer,
Onana? Or was he?
No, that was the year before, wasn't it?
Year before.
Lindelof, Bizot.
Lindelof, Bizot. Guess on.
And Elliott, yeah, disaster, wasn't it?
And Elliott.
Absolute disaster of a window.
Bloody hell. So yes, it's probably Maatsen who's just now making the impact. Who is to blame for that transfer window? Would you say? I mean, obviously the easy answer is Monchi because he's not here anymore. But is it all on Monchi? Is that like the transfer window? And what do you make of this Harvey Elliott situation? Two questions in one.
Yeah, well, at the time, sort of, I was scathing about Monchi, but in truth, you're just picking at straws. We don't really know, do we? This is where we need one of them all or nothing documentaries on the telly, so we can see for what's going on and make up our own mind. But as we say, nothing really goes without Unai say, does it? So he's got to take his fair share of the blame on the transfer windows. And sorry, what's your second question, Eric?
I can't remember now.
We're getting old now, mate, and we can't remember what we said 2 seconds ago. I can't remember.
Was it all on Monchi? I think I said, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, collective blame.
Sorry, what do you make of the Harvey Elliott situation?
Yeah, it's just a blooming disaster for everyone involved, really, isn't it? On the face of it, in the summer, we were all excited. It looked like a good signing. He's got good stock, been at Liverpool, done well for the under-21s at England. But who's picked him? If Unai can literally make up his mind within 2 weeks that he's not for him, then surely he hasn't picked him. It's a weird one, isn't it? There's obviously something about him that Unai just doesn't fancy. For me, it must be the physical side. He's too slight and he don't look like he can't handle himself maybe starting games. This is where I'm saying about him liking Gessa and liking Bailey because they're a bit bigger and he likes a bit of graft on that right-hand side. We're looking at a right attacker wanting them to attack. Unai seems to have other ideas and wants them doing more of a shift. And for me, but I don't know. Surely you knew what you were getting or knew what you was buying. As Unai just, I don't know. I've no idea what's gone on there, but it looks bad on Villa. It looks bad. It's poor for the player. He's been treated bad, and it makes us look a bit amateurish, really, doesn't it? And the fact that nothing seems to be getting done about it either. We're going to be stuck in this situation now.
You said it would probably make more sense to activate the clause. You haven't got to pay that money till the end of the season, and then if need be, I mean, we've shown it already that we've got no loyalty to any player that comes in. No. We could probably just sell him.
Yeah, I would have done that personally. I mean, he can only play. I think he can only play like 2-3 more games, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But Liverpool, to me, look like they've just washed their hands of it and said it's your problem now. You took him, and they're right. To be fair, you know, we've made ourselves look a bit silly with this one. You know, you take a player, he's paying the wage. It's a place in our squad. It's affected the rest of our summer business and the business now, and it's a player that we've barely used. So I guess it's Unai's problem and it's Villa's problem, and we're just going to have to just write it off, I guess, and try and get on with what we've got.
Yeah.
Shame for the player though, because he probably had a chance of creeping into that England squad, and that's long gone now for him. He's a long way back now.
I absolutely credit the attitude for him, because to come in from the cold against Salzburg, yes, he definitely looked rusty, but you have to give him allowances for that. And then I thought he looked quite sharp on Sunday against Brentford. He tried to make things happen, and I do think, you know, if Unai wants players to get used to his way of playing, I'm pretty sure Harvey Elliott would be willing to learn. He doesn't strike me as a player who just wants to play his own way and only do that. Do you get what I mean?
Of course, but he's been sat there all this time. He probably knows it off by heart by now. But
That's all he's been able to do is just listen to the team meetings and read the books. Yeah, that's all he's been able to do.
He's probably handed the books out.
Yeah, maybe it's a secret ploy that Unai's had. I mean, it is going to be really interesting because, you know, it's funny how these things work out, and you've got to take your chance when it comes. But Unai would not have factored in the injuries to 3 main midfielders, so it could be that he's in a situation where he has to play him for these 3 games, and that clause has to be activated. Part of me is thinking, like, is he thinking of a situation whereby, you know, particularly if we win these next 2 against Bournemouth and Brighton, you know, we then put ourselves on 40, what would it be? 52 points. Around 46 a minute.
51, 50, yeah, 52. Yeah,
Yes,
sorry, yeah.
52 points. You'd be thinking, right, well, that's in a really good position to seal top 4 or top 5 with the remaining games to go. Does he then say, like, yeah, we'll play you now because, you know, we are really favourites to get this Champions League position sealed, and then we can afford it? Like, is that something that he's maybe playing into his thoughts as well?
I don't think so, because if that was to be the case, I think you'll find Harvey Elliott at the end of the season will tell Unai where to shove it. The way he's been treated this season, he is not signing no deal with us, whether it's obligation or not. He'll wiggle out of that deal, and you wouldn't blame him, would you? I can't see after losing a whole season him suddenly that will turn him
have
around.
to buy him. If he plays 3 more games, we have to buy him.
I'm sure Elliott, that everything has to be like Elliott. If he didn't want to go, he wouldn't have to go. I don't think. I'm sure he'd be out.
Because I was just thinking, if he plays 2 more games and then Emery wants to bring him on for his 3rd game, which triggers the. You're going to get a situation where Elliott goes, "Nah, sorry, man, I don't want to come on."
Yeah, just say he's injured, couldn't he? Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, mate.
Maybe.
I can't see any way he's there next season.
Yeah,
I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again,
isn't it? It is. Just to end on the transfer window talk, and I know we've covered some questions as well. What would you rate it out of 10? And I want everyone in the comments as well to rate the window out of 10. So we're talking 2 young players in signing, Maggio and Alisson. Meant to be a first team ready player, but I'm not convinced. Bailey back, Louise in, Tammy in, and then Marlon and Gesson out as the main 2. What would you rate it?
I don't know, really. Do you compare it to what everyone else has done, or are we just looking at it from a Villa perspective? As I said earlier, I don't think the squad's any better, but at least we've covered the players that are out with injury. So you've got to be looking at 6.5. I don't think you really give it any more than that. You're not looking at that side now thinking, oh, they've signed them players, they're going to be much stronger. We've just covered the bases, haven't we? And I'd say we're kind of par for where we already was before the injuries. Well, actually, slightly under. What would you say, Rich?
Yeah, I'd say 6. I think I like the signings. You know, I think they're safe. They're safe. Yeah. Bailey, we know. Louise, we know. Tammy, we know what he does. But I am of the opinion that I don't want to get too carried away with the nostalgia of them signings. I want to know that they are going to be contributing to the club and contributing to wins this season. I hope they do, and I do believe that they will, but that's what I'm waiting to see. And, you know, there would have been certainly an element of hampered by rules and restrictions particularly on the sale of Daniel Marlon. I think in an ideal world, he'd have signed Tammy and kept Marlon as well. You know, again, like Brentford, where you just need someone to go for it and just hit a shot or just run directly at the defence. Marlon would have been great for that type of game, but we just didn't have it.
And that's the silly thing, Rich. If we'd have not signed Gesson and not signed Elliott, Marlon would probably still be there. So it's a failure, really, isn't it, on that sort of side of things?
Rich says 3. Duncan says 5. The Marlon sale's bad. Stephen says 4. Kamikaze says 1.5. He did go up to a 2 though. Carlton says 5, not upgraded and barely got any better. Rachel says 5 due to the injuries. We couldn't do more to it. Gary says 7 out of 10. Ross says 5. Pop says 5. So yeah, generally sort of just middle of the road.
Thing is, though, not many clubs really, other than City.
No, there was hardly any signings, was there? You know,
I mean, deadline day was hilarious on Sky yesterday.
I know they were trying to make, they were trying to make so much out of it. Yeah, it's not that these aren't like deadline days aren't like what they were, you know, and a lot of these restrictions have caused it really. They really have caused it. So yeah, the deadline days aren't like they're not like what they used to be, George. Let's turn to more positive, like, because I don't want to be. I did want to review the window, and I don't want to be massively negative or anything like that at all. But I just wanted to discuss what it was. We've got a few more. 5 says broken. Paul says 4. So I don't want to be on that. But Europa League, top 2 into the last 16, away legs through to the final. What do you think Villa's chances are of winning this Europa League? First of all, that's your first question. And how seriously would you take the Europa League now in terms of would you put everything into winning that Europa League apart as opposed to the league?
Well, let's face it, the Europa League, it's two birds in one stone, isn't it? We want Champions League football desperately. We need it for the club to progress and to, to sustain the wage bill we've currently got. And we're 30 years without a trophy, so absolute no-brainer, isn't it? It's what we've got the best chance in. Our chances of winning I'll say this, it'll be a damn sight higher if we didn't have the injuries we've got and Kamara wasn't, out till next season. It's going to be tough, I don't think there's no mugs in there. That top half of the Europa League was quite, you're looking at like Roma, who we've just let Marlon go to. There's I can't even think who's in there now.
Leon are in it.
Leon
are in
the
it.
group, haven't they?
Leon, Midtjylland. Who else is in?
Like Porto in there.
Porto, Freiburg.
Yeah, it's not a given.
They're not amazing teams, are they? That's the thing. They're not amazing.
We played better teams last year in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But, we're probably not quite as strong.
Real Betis.
But we've got a solid chance, Rich. We should be, as Steve Bruce used to say, we should be there or thereabouts.
Oh, please don't mention his name on this podcast ever again. I'll ban you. Leon, Midtjylland, Betis, Porto, Braga, Freiburg, and Roma were the other teams in the top 8. So Roma actually came 8th out of them. I don't think they had a great start to the Europa League. But yeah, I think Braga, if they're finishing the top 6, I know they had a decent result against Nottingham Forest, but I fancy us to beat them. Betis are always a tough side in Spain, aren't they? Spanish teams are always quite tough to play against.
And you can't even looking underneath that, the clubs that have got through lower on, just because they've struggled so far. I mean, look at the Champions League last year, like PSG, and end up winning it after coming about 20 odd in the league phase. There's plenty of time to go. We've just got, but with the way the draw goes and us getting the home leg, second, it should help us going through.
Would you put all your eggs in that basket? Would you put all your eggs in that basket now, or would you still do Champions League through the league?
He's going to want both, isn't he? And I don't think he'll allow himself to sort of shut one off to go for the other. I think the FA Cup will go by probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he put us a weaker side out for that one now.
I know, but Newcastle will probably have to do the same thing, mate. They've got this in their fixture list.
I know. Yeah, so we'll see. We could end up keep getting through, but that's definitely the lowest of his 3 priorities. I think he'll just keep going game for game, mate, and we'll get the results we get. But it'd be amazing if we could sort of do both, wouldn't we? Win the Europa League and still finish high up. But the Vultures are certainly circling in the Premier League at the moment, and we're looking a lot rockier than what it was, a week, 2 weeks ago. But you just got to keep on going, mate, and hope that them big boys don't get the run going.
They'll be playing each other. I think Liverpool have got Man City. So, there's too many games where they play each other to take points off each other to give us a lot to worry about. And especially if we pick up a couple of decent results in the next couple of weeks, I think we'll be fine.
Just need a bit of breathing space again, a couple of wins, isn't it?
Yes. Let's just see in the chat what people are saying. No excuses, lads. We must win this. It was United and Spurs in the final last year. Let's not do a Spurs, says Stephen. Kevin, always Mr. Positive, says, don't care who we play, we're winning the Europa League. It must be something to do with the name Kevin about being positive.
Yeah.
Rich, though, says, I don't think we've got the mentality to win it. When there's something on a game, we bottle it.
That's the worry, isn't it?
Semi-finals, definitely. Champions League seal, the qualifications, definitely. I do think we've won some big games, but I definitely do take the point. Definitely take the point. K Grundy says, Liverpool last but one game of the season. It could be big, 100%. And Anne says, manifest, 100%. I agree. Let's talk, just to finish up, We've kind of teased it a little bit over the show, but we've got a couple of games to come, George. and you mentioned some of the fixtures, but it's a funny one, isn't it? Because you think, oh, these games to come, Villa have got some favourable fixtures and all that sort of stuff, but it doesn't always work out like that. Every game's tough, but Bournemouth away on Saturday. We beat them away last season. I remember Onana having a phenomenal game against them. Been a bit up and down this season, Bournemouth. And then we've got Brighton at home again, being a bit up and down, but tend to play good football against Villa at Villa Park. I remember us getting a 2-2 last season. I know we beat them 6-1 another season, but they do generally play some good football. But those two are a couple of huge games for us coming up, aren't they?
Mate, they're all going to be huge now coming. They're dangerous games, that's for sure. Because the two games that we've just lost at home, they're all kind of similar sort of area of the table, similar stature, aren't they? But we've done well against Bournemouth. Emery seems to have had Iraola's number for quite a while now since he's come into the Premier League, and we generally we do okay against Brighton as well. Definitely got to win at least one of those games, and you probably take 4 points the way it's going at the minute, but you can't afford to be losing. I don't think you can really afford to be losing either of them at the moment.
No.
Yeah, big games. They're all going to be big games now because we're down on numbers now, or quality wise. It ain't looking as straightforward as what it was a little while ago. If you'd have asked us 2-3 weeks ago, we were beating everyone right in our heads. But now the doubt starts creeping in, doesn't it? So we just got to, just as I say, if you can win 1 in 2 now, we'll be all right till the end of the season. But we just do not want to get on a losing run or a run where you can't pick up a win, because we've been there before and sort of fallen away, haven't we?
Yeah, we haven't. It was great. It was great from the players to bounce back after that Everton defeat, to then beat Fenerbahce, who we thought was going to be a really tough game. Then it was 2-0 win against Newcastle. Nobody thought we were going to beat Newcastle at St James's Park, and it was probably our best performance of the season in terms of a complete performance, I would say. And then, to come back with the young players to beat Salzburg, you think, right, that's brilliant to get that positivity. Frustrating one on Sunday against Brentford. You just think, right, let's get back on the horse and get that win against Bournemouth, and then that'll set us up again, really. And to be honest, other than sort of Manchester United at the moment, I know Chelsea have picked up some decent results. There's teams dropping points all over. Man City are dropping points. Liverpool obviously had a good win against Newcastle, but before that, drew with Burnley. So every team isn't exactly fully convincing right now either. So if we can again string a couple of 2 or 3 results together, we can certainly open that gap again.
Yeah, I mean, it's lucky. I'll say it's not lucky. It's our own hard work and good results that have created this gap in the first place, isn't it? I'm just really frustrated that you get that great win at Newcastle, but then it's completely undone by a result either side of it. I mean, we might as well have you could have had 2 narrow home wins against Everton and Brentford and been smashed 5-0 up again at Newcastle, and we've been better off, It just feels that we put so much into that game, such an impressive result, but then you've just kind of thrown the points straight back the next week. So it's just a bit of annoying, but that's football. You don't know. You pick up wins against teams you don't expect to, and you can slip up against teams you expect to beat. That's just that's just the game, isn't it, mate? Annoying as it is.
Yeah,
annoying,
definitely.
And a brilliant 1 minute and breaks your heart the next.
That's football for you. But we will be here anyway on the channel, and I'm positive. I'm positive about Saturday. I think, one thing this team has done is bounce back from some frustrating and disappointing results. And I do think the extra week without a match in midweek, Watkins should be back fit. Whether he starts or not, it's still an option for us to have as a player to bring on. Onana should be a little bit fitter again from a week's rest. Barkley should be fitter from a week's training. So I think the bench will be looking much better and much stronger for us to take on Bournemouth on Saturday as well.
Rich, I think it was one of the other pods the other day, but they were saying Watkins, in 6 years, he's missed 6 games.
Yeah.
That is really durable, isn't it? And I think that's something that we don't look at sometimes, just how often he does turn up, Watkins, and rarely gets injured.
Yeah, well, we always talk about him every episode. Me and Sam got into a good discussion about him on the Brentford preview, which was good, and a few people said we were both right, and I think that's the best way to say it. I mean, for me, you can say like, yes, he's in, he's been in poor form this season and he misses big chances, but there's so many other things that he does well. And if there's a striker who scored double figures across every season for the last 5 seasons, and people want John Philip, people wanted Mateta, and people wanted this striker and that striker. We've got a good striker already. It's just that, yes, he doesn't do particular things very well, but there are other things that he does really well.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just, no one's, that you're not going to, if people don't like him, you're not going to convince them that to like him. People do like him. You're not going to convince them to not like him. That's the point. I think that's the point. People have made up their minds already. It's almost like Watkins scores a goal and it's like pointing to the people who criticize and say, there you go, he scored.
Oh, I know.
People are never gonna like him.
People just get bored with what.
And if he doesn't score it or he misses a chance, it's like, see, I told you. But
that's it.
Strikers miss chances. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, they're all raging about Danny Welbeck this season, weren't they? I think Watkins is now like 1 goal behind him or something. So yeah. We forget when players are hot, they look amazing, but we're not watching them every week. When they stop scoring, we just see Watkins when he stops scoring, and then we start criticising. But every club's in the same position. I mean, no one's really stood out. Really, I say Ekitike has been quality for Liverpool, but other than that, there's not been much consistency like with strikers this season at all. Anywhere.
No. I mean, I think Haaland was getting called out, wasn't he? He was saying he'd only scored penalties in the last few games, and yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. People will see stats about him missing chances, then other people will say, well, look at what he does for the team and blah blah blah. It's horses for courses. I'm not here to convince people to like him or not.
No,
I like him. I appreciate him. I didn't like Emi Buendia. I said that he's really turned it around this season, but there are still other games where he doesn't turn up and he doesn't play well enough, and you can see why he hasn't gone to the heights that maybe he thinks he could have done. There's times where Morgan Rogers really frustrates me with his poor decision making and his casualness on the ball, but that doesn't mean he's a bad player. Like he's brilliant at so many other things. So yeah, it is what it is. Everyone's got their opinions, and we love it.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Right, mate. Thank you so much. We will, and thank you everyone for watching. Please do hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Help us continue on the road to 7,000 subscribers. I'll be back later this week for Bournemouth preview. I'll also be back on Saturday for the watch along. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We've had so much support on the watch alongs. It's been brilliant. And obviously instant reaction, hopefully a winning instant reaction, and everything else on the show. Do also catch the Academy update with Charlie, aka Academy AVFC. If you haven't already, I did release that last night, so please do catch that for your lowdown on all things Academy. Brilliant show with him. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, George, for joining me. And as always, as people have been in the chat there saying, we'll follow the Villa.